Council meeting to order for Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. It is 6:34. Ms. Monroe, if you'd like to call the roll.
Mayor Don Barnard.
Here.
Tiffany Hollis.
Here.
Ryan Green.
Here.
Dave Seeland.
Here.
Jeff Barr.
Present.
Wes Coble.
Here.
Bob Orsini.
Here.
Sure. Yes.
We're going to stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Councilman Barr is going to do the invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together this evening. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, empathy, courage, strength to lead our city, make good decisions for the community as a whole. Thank you for the beautiful day that you've given us. Forgive us of our sins, known and unknown. We ask that you put your healing hand on all those that are in need and asking for your healing and blessings. We thank you for our frontline people and our staff and the council members here this evening and those that came out to watch and observe. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Sorry, stumbled with words. You're good. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Got quite a few people here tonight. First on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Mr. Monroe updated this afternoon. Does anyone have anything they'd like to change or add or move around for tonight? Hearing none, what is the will of council?
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Action on minutes. We have the June 3rd, 2025. All of us were here for that meeting. Does anyone have anything they'd like to change for this or questions? Hearing none, was the will of council?
Motion to approve is written.
Second.
Are all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Okay, citizen comments on matters not on the agenda. Ms. Monroe, do you have anybody?
No one has given me a speaker slip.
Anybody want to speak? Okay. Council committee reports. Planning and zoning, they met June 10th. Their next one is June 24th, 2025 at 6:30 in council chambers. Or anything to report from that meeting?
Yes, so the bulk of that meeting was talking about a potential annexation. We decided to sit on that and for further consideration. It's not tabled, we're just taking our time with that item. So we'll see that again on 6/24.
Okay. A design review board, they also met on the 10th. Their next is June 24th at 5:30 in council chambers. Ms. Monroe or Sean, you guys have anything to report from that one?
They did an approval, a COA approval for some new roof and siding to a residential house, and the rest of the time was spent as a work session on the design guidelines document.
Awesome. Finance, we met tonight. Our next meeting is a month from now, July 15th at 5:30. There'll be one item, it's on the, it's item 15 on this agenda. Facilities committee, or there was also one other thing that we're going to look into, tap fees. Every 5 years, they have to be reviewed, so they're looking at what firm's going to be able to do those, review our tap fees, find out what they should be changed to, given the 5-year change, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Do tap and capacity fees affect any existing resident in Johnstown?
No, so that's the good thing, is raising tap fees and capacity fees does not affect anybody living in the city of Johnstown unless you sell your house and build a new house in Johnstown. It's only for new houses, new businesses in Johnstown, the cost for them to come into the city and tap into our water fees. So this is, if it's increased, it does not affect any homeowners because it goes to future homeowners and future businesses. So thank you, Bob. Facilities committee, their next meeting is August 5th at 5 o'clock in council chambers. And Safety and Services next meeting is August 5th, the same night, at 5:30 in council chambers. Anything else to report from any other committees?
On that one subject, are we doing that under somewhere else? Council,
Yes, it's on item 15. It's on the
okay, I'm
agenda.
sorry, I'm having trouble pulling.
Director reports, we received a report from Chief of Police. He is not here tonight, so if you have questions, please get with the chief. City Manager, Sean, would you like to highlight anything from your report?
No, unless you all have questions on any specific item, I'm more than happy to answer.
Does anyone have any questions for Sean on his report? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move forward with public hearings of legislation. The first is Resolution 2025-25, a resolution authorizing waiver of competitive bidding. Mr. Stainer, if you'd like to explain this?
Sure. So we have the ability to do a waiver of competitive bidding. There are certain provisions with the ORC that allow this, and there are two provisions that we are leaning into heavily. And there's a pretty expansive memo outlining the reasonings that coincide with this. This is for crack sealing with Benedict, Buena Vista, and Concord Crossing, or I'm sorry, Concord Road. And if you read through the memo, it's informative. We'll probably keep that on the shelf and utilize it as other crack sealing projects come up. One of the main determining factors is there is very, very few, if any other, contractors within the Central Ohio area that even do this type of work. So Strasser is the go-to, even if you do different work, somebody else bids it, they'll subcontract it to Strasser typically. And that is a memo that was produced by EMH&T outlining what their studies found as well. The other piece of this is for a competitive bid to be put out, cost the city substantial funds. Now, that burden shouldn't always be a deterrent, but when the cost is probably going to come in somewhere around $120,000 or lighter, to spend $20,000 to go through the bid process also produces a undue burden and reasonable to waive for the reason outlined in there, which I believe Teresa utilized the words unnecessary expenditure of city funds or wasteful. So those are the reasons. Happy to answer any other questions. Happy to go through the outline. But this would allow us to waive that bidding and then enter into that contract after we have that conversation with the contractor and he gets us a price back, directly enter into that without having to go out to bid.
Okay, does council have any questions for Mr. Stainer on this?
I do.
Go ahead.
What is our threshold of that you have to put something out for competitive bidding, regardless of what the project or whatever we're buying?
Sure. So there's a couple other provisions, but we'll say the general projects that don't require a specific professional service. The number in the ORC is 77,250, I believe. I think ours in our codified ordinance is 75,000. So I'm actually going to look into changing our codified ordinance to simply reference ORC. ORCs is actually on a sliding scale.
Yep.
So that would be more efficient. So then we're just always referencing them for a backstop rather than having to change it every year. So that'll be one movement that we probably will see in the next, I don't know, couple months. Not an emergency, but definitely something we need to probably clean up in our ordinance. So 75, I believe, is ours. 77 is the state's.
I don't queue.
Any other questions for council? Open this up to the public. Does the public have anything they'd like to speak on this? Okay. For Resolution 2025-25, what is the will of council?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Ryan Green,
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis,
Yes.
Mayor Barnard,
Yes.
Wes Coble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr.
Am I allowed to ask another question before I vote?
No.
No, sorry.
Yes.
Bob Orsini,
Yes.
Dave Sealand.
Yes. Now you can ask your question, but already passed.
It would just be for this project, right? It's not,
Yeah, it's a narrow reading because it
Right.
references in here a couple times. It references crack sealing.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could make an argument that next year for crack sealing, you might be able to work this through, but I would still, there'd be challenges with that. It certainly can't be opened up to anything beyond that.
Right.
It's pretty narrow reading.
just wanted to make sure it was just for that. I'm having trouble opening this stuff.
Okay. I'll ask people here tonight to bear with us because we're going to have to move into executive session. It should not take long. I make a motion that we move to executive session. The first, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, unless the public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing to include all of council, the city manager, the service director, and our attorney
And finance director,
and finance director.
if you so choose.
And then the second one is an executive session to prepare for, conduct, or review a collective bargaining agreement to include all of council, the city manager, the finance director, and our attorney.
And I'll defer to Dave on this, and I'll put you on the spot. They've introduced them separately.
You want us two separate motions voted on?
I'd prefer that.
It's fine if you do.
Would you advise two separate motions for two separate executive sessions, or one motion for both executive sessions?
on it separately, but you don't have to come back in.
Very good.
Okay.
So if you want to introduce the first one, which you did, vote on that.
Okay,
and
so
then-
scrap the second thing I said, Teresa, just the first motion. I need a second.
I'll second the first motion.
Okay, I just want to, I'm sorry. You made the motion for executive session under item 12.
Yes,
And are you also making,
not yet.
okay, so that's, okay. All right. Mayor Barnard,
Yes.
Wes Coble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr,
Yes.
Bob Orsini,
Yes.
Dave Seeland.
Yes.
Ryan Green.
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis.
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to move to executive session to prepare for, conduct a review of collective bargaining strategy to conclude all of council, our city manager, our finance director, and our attorney.
I'll second.
Okay. Mayor Barnard,
Yes.
Wes Coble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr,
Yes.
Bob Orsini,
Yes.
Dave Seeland.
Yes.
Ryan Green.
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis.
Yes.
And we're moved next door, and we'll be right back. You ready, Teresa?
Ready.
Okay, we're back in session. Next on the agenda is public hearings of legislation, which we have Resolution 2025-26, collective bargaining agreement between the City of Johnstown and Ohio Council 8, AFSME, AFL-CIO. What would council like to do with this?
Motion to table?
Second.
Sorry, give me a second. All right, Bob Orsini,
Yes.
Dave Seeling,
Yes.
Brian Green,
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis,
Yes.
Mayor Barnard,
No.
Wes Cobble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr.
Yes.
Okay. Moving to introduction of legislation, ordinance 05-2025, an ordinance establishing salaries for members of the Johnstown City Council that take office on or after January 1st, 2026. Mr. Barr, you said you would handle this one and talk about this one.
Yeah, earlier today in finance, the finance committee is bringing forward to recommend the council pay of $100 per meeting to $200 per meeting. And then the mayor's position would be from $500 per month to $800 per month. Both of those rates are on the low end of our other Licking County surveys and information that Ms. Monroe collected. Is that generally speaking the,
Yes, I used the 2024 Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission MORPC salary survey for council members and for mayor. And you were most definitely on the low end, so
Even after this, we're on the low end still, correct?
definitely.
Does anyone have any questions on this item? Would like to discuss it more?
So, on the raise, I just don't think we're ready for this yet. And I don't see that council has done much. I don't know that this is gonna do enough to bring more people into the fold. I mean, we see the townships where they pay significantly more, they have insurance. Nobody's kicking the doors down to run for those either. I don't know that we need a raise.
How much does our township pay?
Well, hold on, just, do you mind if I step in, Dave?
Yeah, go ahead.
We did talk a little bit about that. We looked at what the pluses and minuses were and kind of how that all fit in. And one of the points that was discussed is that at some point, if this fall keeps getting pushed down the road, some man or woman, some council person gonna have to sit up here and say, we need to go from 100 to 500. And that just becomes an enormous leap, and essentially, we're setting a trap for a future council person to get this council pay on par. So that was part of the discussion about, does it make it better, or does it attract more candidates? Not necessarily, but it keeps the compensation for the work performed almost on par. So it's attainable to reach in the future for another council person to make an increase in the future. So that was part of the discussion.
And just to clarify, that doesn't reflect pay for anyone that's sitting here.
So how that works is that the pay increase goes into effect when a new position is taken. And to make that cleaner, whoever's up, the new council positions that are getting voted, I think there's 4 seats that are open. Anyone elected in November would then take effect with the new pay rate. The 3 remaining seats would stay the same until those seats turned over. And if that is the same person, again, it's immaterial, but that seat has to be, the term has to be finished, and then the election takes place. If someone was appointed, for whatever reason, they would take at the new rate. The mayor position, which it turns over this year as well, that would take the new rate once appointed by council. So no council member can get a raise while they're in their seat.
Right.
It's only when an election cycle has taken place, or an appointment cycle, in the mayor's case, or an open seat case, would the new rate take effect.
So if we get a new mayor in January,
New mayor in January would get the,
Whoever
if we
becomes,
vote for
whoever
the
becomes mayor in January would
would
get
be-
it's the same person or a new person?
It doesn't
regardless?
matter.
oh, even if it's the same person.
Yes, it's just
Still
the
gets
seat
paid.
turns over, right? The role or the
position.
It
position
does
turns
turn
over.
over in January, so whoever
Jeff,
it is.
Tiffany, and I will not see a raise in January unless one of us becomes mayor in January.
That's correct, because you're all the sitting, your terms will have 2 more years, correct?
I'm willing to listen to arguments for this. I appreciate the the jump of the chasm if we don't do it. I understand the 100 to 500 jump that is, but, you know, I'm one of those seats that's up. I don't want, number one, I wouldn't, considering our financial situation as a city, I'm still willing to listen to considerations to change my mind, but I don't feel comfortable when we're skimping and needing, it's a necessity, right, at this point? I can't wrap my head around a yes vote right now.
It's fair.
I'm willing to listen to other, I get it.
I agree. I was
'cause
more
the
on the
trap is there.
mindset of when we readdress, like revisit the charter and it aligning with as changes with the charter. But that is a really good point that you guys made in finance. I hadn't really thought about that part of it.
There was no torches or pitchforks or anyone stumping for anything.
No,
The
but it does
sentiment
make
was,
sense, like a step.
If we wait till the charter, it might have to go from 100 to 300
Yeah,
at that point.
and that makes a whole lot of sense to do it in baby steps, to me.
that was
I hadn't thought of it.
That was the,
that way.
I
It's
think that
no
was the big
different than
part of the
some of
discussion.
our other fees, pay structures, et cetera. This should be considered in the same way. It shouldn't be personal, it should be for
It's
the
the- it's the
position.
seat. Yeah, it's the position, not the person.
Right, that's what we should be reflecting on in that sense.
It's been-
Because the onus gets harder and harder. I don't recall the last time the increase happened, but it's been
2019.
6 years ago.
So it'll be 7 by the time this,
is
And the
effective.
charter does lay out that it is your duty to review it in odd number years.
Right,
Okay,
the
so
charter
it's already
directs
in
us to
place.
review.
Yeah, but
it.
it doesn't-
Charter
doesn't
directs
state
you
it
to
all.
review
Like
it, yeah.
how much, okay.
Even, whether you choose to or not.
And the charter language is probably not going to address the pay, it's going to give the direction to review.
Right.
And it's up to the council to
That's exactly,
determine.
it just says review. It makes no reference to 0
Okay.
to 100 or anything.
And again, I agree with the chasm jump, but honestly, my biggest concern, quite honestly, is the likelihood of outside interest funneling money into this to plant people into some of these positions. And the jump from 100 to 200 isn't going to change that.
I would disagree. What if one person said, because of that, I'm going to? Is it worth it then? And that one person is, we have young people that attend quite frequently, and they're like, you know what, that makes a difference. And now we have, is anybody under the age of 30 here?
No.
35?
I'm 36, so.
Do we have
no.
good representation of all of the city?
so Jeff's point is good, that you'll get more retired people in this position without raising the pay. You're not gonna get the younger people who who need money for the time that they spend. So I agree with Jeff in that if you're gonna wanna get younger people, you're gonna have to pay to get them.
Yeah.
We do have some minority in the community. I take that back. I'm not gonna say anything on that. Sorry.
I agree with everyone. I think it's a great debate. This is what we're here for. And that's why it's part of the discussion is presented. I'm not trying to end discussion, because we can talk all night, but
Well, I think you also make a good point. You have to consider the position, not the people, because it is awkward when you're discussing
Always,
something
absolutely.
that you're, currently sitting in a seat for, so.
I
Because
would say
if
it's safe
we-
to say no one knew
right,
what the
'cause
pay
if-
structure was
Yeah.
when they put their paperwork in.
If this was, if
I
I was
mean,
sitting
don't
out
think
there, I would
any-
be saying, yes, they need
I don't
more
think
money.
any of us here did this for the money.
No.
Most of us didn't even know we got paid for it.
I can, yeah.
Like,
I
hey,
can say
guys.
as the youngest person on council, the money, I mean, until you hit a certain echelon, thousands of dollars, I don't think it's gonna move the needle.
I'll give you another argument for it, is that in public sector work, which as you all know as I do, is getting harder and harder to replace an aging workforce because of the pay. Right? So, when you want to attract talented people, there are a lot of young people that are much more talented than I am in different facets of things. That is not reflective on this council, and like I said, that one person that decides, you know what, because of that, I'm going to. We don't know one way or another whether it will or will not. That's all speculation. That's an opinion, there's no facts behind it, so some more reasoning behind it all.
If anyone's having a question about running for a difference of $100, I'll be happy to talk to them about the benefits of actually running and actually making an impact, because this is where impacts and changes are made at council and board meetings. If 100 hours is the swing, sorry.
There's no reason to apologize.
So, yeah, there's no reason
I
to
mean, I'm just
apologize,
saying
but
in general.
if that mindset was the case, then you should be, as a council member, applying that across anything that increases.
Yeah, and because between committee meetings, council meetings, reading the agenda and the attachments, that $100 filters down and dilutes pretty quick. And same would be effective for $200. If we were making the jump from 100 to 5, I could understand the definite benefit of that competitive fee piece, but then the financials don't work, right? We don't have the money to jump to
Gotta
5.
start somewhere, Mr. Seaman.
I understand.
Can't continue to be,
Okay, does anybody else have any questions on this?
so what's the process at the point, do we vote on this evening? 'Cause
Well, the process works that,
Introduction tonight.
I'll fill in the blanks and have it on for a second reading and vote at the next council meeting.
Okay.
Because it's an ordinance in your packet, because the charter directs that you pass it by ordinance.
okay. Anybody else with questions? Okay. Any other business? Tonight, Bob? Jeff? Nope.
I do, I'm sorry. Please take the time to look over the proposal that was submitted earlier so that you have questions, that we're not just relying on a singular individual. Please.
Ms. Hollis?
No.
Ryan?
I do. I wanted to say, thank you for all involved in the road repairs that were completed this week, at Liberty and McCracken. I drove over the road a couple times in my travels this week, and it's looking nice. Very smooth. I'm sure those guys are happy up there because it looked like a war zone before. I hope that we can do more road repairs in the future, and hopefully they're that easy. I think we were in and out in a day. So kudos to everybody that was involved with that. The big news this week, Fireman's Festival going on. So that's the big news here in Johnstown, parade this Saturday.
Oh, sorry, Miss Johnstown pageant.
Miss Johnstown pageant.
6 p.m. tomorrow at the PAC.
Yep. In the Concord East bike path, I did want to talk about that a little bit. I knew that there's a walking path there, so that leads from our main walking path into Concord East. I know that we've had some issues with cars going back and forth through there. Some of them while we were in here meeting tonight. So wanted to see what we could do. I know in the zoning portion, when we had talked about that neighborhood, we talked about options for different bollards and different obstacles to keep cars from going through there, but allowing emergency vehicles to go through there. So I don't know if that's something that we could talk about with our police and fire departments to see what allows easy access for them, but keeps cars out. I know that we've put a huge do not enter sign up there, which you would think.
And it's some barricades up.
We've set
They
barricades
get
up.
out, they actually move the barricade, drive, put the barricade back. I watched them the other day.
Yeah, they do, and
In
it,
the license plate.
Yes, and I know the cops had just or the car just went through there. The cops were there, they had just left. I was running, saw it, called the cops. They tried finding the person, they had the license plate.
People just use it 'cause you can.
tonight while we were in the meeting, we had a citizen that stopped one of the cars over there, which I don't recommend for anybody who's done that. But, I don't know, that recommendation won't go very far for this person. But, they looked at the app that they were using for navigation, and it does say that that's a road and sends them down that road. So I don't know if we can talk to Google or anyone that's involved in those apps and see if we can get that taken off of there. These were Amazon drivers. I know in the past, we've talked to different delivery
Yes, but
companies.
move a barricade and drive around it.
I understand, but when you're talking people who, a lot of them aren't even from this part of the country, let alone maybe this country, a lot of people that deliver, a lot of people aren't from around here. They're driving all over Ohio, all over the US maybe. They don't know. They just see a road, they're gonna get paid. They see a way to the house they're delivering to, so they go. And they figure that, it's a small risk to take. So if we can keep them off that road by moving the app, if we can do that, I know that we can't put any more signs or barricades up over there because, I mean, that sign "Do Not Enter" is this big. So I don't know that we can make it much clearer, but if we put permanent bollards up that maybe can be removed in emergency or run or break
That is the
away.
intent of the lane, is for emergency vehicles, correct?
Right.
Only.
We had talked about breakaway ones in zoning, but I don't know if that was possible.
I'm not familiar with those.
Yeah.
It's a collapsible one. When you drive over it, your vehicle keeps it down, and it just flutters back up and forth. You can service mount them, Jack. They don't last forever, but they're not as expensive as a permanent bollard. And when you talk about safety issues, they gotta get out, unpadlock it, lift it up, throw it over to the side.
I'm looking at different maps and I don't see, there's not even a road there at this point on the map.
I'd recommend a collapsible one that's surface mount to see if it cuts it down, deters, still may have
And maybe we got lucky and it's a specific company that has navigation that says it, and we can just talk to one company and it's.
Like if it's an
fixed, but-
actual like Amazon delivery.
Yeah,
Driver
we
app.
know?
Amazon drivers know where all of it's at, and they know where the shortcuts are too.
yeah.
Yep.
They saw that, they went in the
So
neighborhood.
that needs to go to safety and service and go through that.
Why don't,
Well, why do we have to go through safety service?
I'm
It's
gonna
a collapsible
send an email to Jack.
bollard.
So we can do a little bit of pre-meeting stuff. I'm gonna have Jack and Chief check out some alternative options, such as bollards with padlocks. What's the cost associated with that? What's the collapsible mechanisms cost? What's the cost to buy it, install it? What's the life expectancy of it, efficiency of it? And then we could probably take it to safety and service just as a discussion point, which one staff recommends to proceed with. And then we would have to then take it to finance if it's not already a part of a budget line item, or if it goes outside of the current budget for this year. We may have to plan on it for next year. Then that would need to go through finance committee. If it's within the budget and staff made a decision that, hey, this was recommended by safety and service, we concur. Budgetarily, it's there. Obviously, we talk about it at council, but we can move forward with it from there. But I would like to get some information as far as cost, installations, efficiency, life expectancy, all that good stuff before we have a meeting to simply ask the same questions that we're gonna put to the,
I guess,
yeah.
the thing that would bother me, if somebody is willing to get out and move a barricade so they can drive by, once they found out this is collapsible, why wouldn't they just drive over it?
And that's part of the analysis, yep.
Stiff enforcement, and I know that's really hard, but stiff enforcement of driving on that road when it says do not enter.
We had an officer there for, I wanna say it was Saturday. I mean, and our officer sat there for a couple hours waiting, but obviously it's random occurrences. But it's frequent random occurrences that, I mean, how many times would you say in the last month?
It's odd. Officer Fox was going to check it the next day at the exact same time to see if it was someone coming from a work here in Johnstown cutting through. I don't know if he got him the next day, but
Yeah, I'd be curious if the plate is someone local or if it was someone.
it was a Columbus.
Can we have a camera put
Yeah,
there?
let's put a camera.
Some of the residents have trail cameras
You
that are
can't
up.
ticket on a camera.
Ticket camera.
You can't get a
Can you give
ticket
a
on
warning?
it, but I will say some of the residents have trail cameras that are up. You could get a plate and you could.
Can you
One
issue
resident.
warnings based
Yeah.
on?
Huh?
One resident has
I
trail
know,
camera.
I know two.
Oh, two?
There's two.
You can
have 10,
identify
but
who it is,
do
but
it.
you
You
still
guys get the
couldn't
gist.
ticket based on camera.
Well, you could run the plate. So
Is it meant for emergency entrance or exit?
You would know.
Both.
if-
I'm all for it.
Well, if you.
I'll knock on the door myself.
Can't you give them
You know
a
when
written
the-
Okay,
warning
so-
that it's a-
So you guys are going to look at, you guys are going to research it, find some options,
Over there and hopefully.
and move it forward that way. Okay. Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Dave?
Fireworks, July 3rd, more to come. Breakfast at the Legion this weekend, Saturday, leads into the parade, and then the festival, obviously. Pageant, like I said, Miss Johnstown pageant, 7 p.m. at the PAC. And then also congratulations to Hadley Roshert. She's our 2025 Little Miss Firecracker. And two things, we have one last opportunity for sponsoring the fireworks. We got the Sparks program out there. directly benefits, this latest run is going to directly benefit the PTO, the Big Red Band Boosters, the JYA wrestling team, and the Johnstown High School National Honor Society. After that, it'll get diluted to the other volunteer groups that are assisting with the activities. So if you want to know where that money's going, that's exactly where it's going. We extended the deadline to Monday afternoon, next Monday afternoon. And then last thing is, still looking for additional questions for the How Well Do You Know Johnstown quiz that will be at the fireworks.
Sorry, I totally
That's
forgot.
okay.
I'll get it too.
It's all right. I got reminders, and I can change it up until the 3rd. So, but again, it's I spent an hour with Louis today, getting a ton of information on things. What used to be this and that, and 3 iterations into the same building. So a ton of information there, and it's gonna be fun. So that quiz will be divided into 2 pieces. More of a historic aspect.
Sounds like fun.
Information taken from the Historical Society webpage. And then more of the potpourri, I call it, is the fun stuff of, did you know, can I tell you the question that you might be given?
Yeah.
How many pounds of potatoes does the Dash and Diner go through in a year? How many
I want
spoons?
to know.
How many spoons does Wits go through? What's the number 1 selling flavor? The random stuff that is just kind of curious to know. And then there'll be some sort of prize package, pizza, something, things like that. That'll be getting together for that. But I'm really kind of excited about that one. But other than that, that is it.
Okay, a few things. Licking County Humane Society contacted me. They are having a Bark and Brew on June 21st, this Saturday, I think at 5 o'clock. You're welcome to bring your dogs. They're gonna have live music. They're gonna have beer at the Humane Society, Licking County Humane Society. This is the first time they're doing it, so if you have a dog, you want to take them, please do. And then I would like to wish my condolences. Our neighborhood lost a dear friend. Most of our neighborhood is in disbelief. Brad Hughes passed away yesterday, and I'd like to wish condolences to his family. He did all the mowing for our neighborhood, and so it was a lot of people are pretty upset about it. So that's all I have. Sean, Teresa.
I'll jump in. The only item I have is with item 14A being tabled, we would need to schedule another meeting within 30 days for you all to reconsider or take it off the table for consideration. I'll correct myself. So a date that I'll toss out there that was recommended by a couple council members was the 24th of June, time being at 5 o'clock, just prior to the Design Review Board meeting at 5:30, for you all to meet again. More than likely, agenda item will include an executive session, and then after that would be a vote on the resolution that's before you. Teresa will be out of town on vacation, so I can put on my clerk hat and take recordings.
I can ask
and,
Shauna to do it.
Hopefully, yeah, or ask Shauna. This would be good practice. I like that idea. Good thinking, Teresa. If everyone is agreeable to that, we can direct Teresa now to put together an agenda packet. And then also, we can modify that agenda. If you determine that an executive session is not necessary, we can remove that from the agenda item as well, and just simply have the resolution on there. So if there's consideration, I'll listen now. Everybody okay with the 24th at 5 o'clock?
Sounds good.
Yes. Good?
Mayor, I have one last thing. I'm sorry, it's more informative than anything else.
Okay.
This weekend, the JYAA at Belt Park will be hosting a baseball and softball tournament. It is quite full, so if somebody could pass along to Chief Smart with everything going on in the, with the Fireman's Festival and the parade, et cetera, there's gonna be a lot of in and out traffic into Belt Park throughout the weekend on West Jersey Street.
They're still looking for $15 an hour paid
Employees
employees
to
to
work.
assist with the management of that too.
Okay. I make a motion, we move to executive session, to consider the employment of a public employee, include all of council and Mr. Stainert, with no business to follow.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
it's really up to you all if you want to go into executive session or not.
Does anyone have any questions on the item that, about the planner position? That they would like to go into executive session tonight for this?
I do.
You would like to?
It'll be brief.
Okay, so I keep my motion?
Second.
Mayor Barnard,
Yes.
Wes Cobble,
Yes.
Jeff Barr,
Yes.
Bob Orsini.
Yes.
Dave Seeland.
Yes.
Ryan Green.
Yes.
Tiffany Hollis.